All right, college football and stuff here. It is week 14 of the college football season. Getting close to the end. I'd be sad to see it go, but we got a lot more football than I thought we were going to get, and I can't really complain about that. All right, I'm going over the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac 12 in this video. We're going to start off with the SEC. First up, we have Texas A&M at Auburn, 12 o'clock on ESPN. Texas A&M, a 7-point favorite. Now, Auburn did not look good against Alabama, which I wasn't super surprised about. I thought they were going to be able to do a little bit better on offense than they were. They looked like they had a chance at the very end of the game there to score a garbage time, meaningless touchdown, but it would have had them beat the spread, and of course they didn't get that done, so Alabama covered. And then Texas A&M, I guess they completely shut their offense down when I think they realized that LSU was not going to be able to put up any meaningful amount of points on them. And I think that in some ways kept them from scoring more points, but they had a bunch of short fields. LSU had a bunch of turnovers. And I really think Texas A&M should have put up more than 20 points in that game. Now, this game is sort of meaningless for Auburn. It's not really going to define their season. Auburn lost to its two biggest rivals, lost badly to both of them. But this is a game that matters to Texas A&M. To have any shot of making it in the playoffs, they have to win this game. Alabama has to beat Florida in the SEC championship, and I think Notre Dame has to beat Clemson in their rematch in the ACC championship. And I think if all of that happens, Texas A&M has a good shot of being the last team into the playoffs. But Auburn likes to play spoiler. I think this game goes one of two ways. I think either Texas A&M wins pretty big and easily covers those 7 points, winning by 2 touchdowns or something like that, or I think Auburn gets a close win. I'm going to take Auburn plus the 7 points. I really think if Texas A&M wins, I think they win by more than 7. So if you think Texas A&M wins this game, take Texas A&M minus the points. But I'm going to take Auburn plus those points. I think Auburn has a decent chance, especially if they can shut down Texas A&M's offense a little bit. I think Auburn has a good shot. They played much better at home. I'm going to take Auburn plus the points. Arkansas at Missouri. This was a tough game to pick. It's 12 o'clock on the SEC network. Missouri, a 3-point favorite. I have been fairly impressed with both of these teams. Have played much better than I thought they would coming into this season. I'm going to take Missouri minus the 3 points, but I was really hesitant on this game. I do not know how it's going. I can see Arkansas winning this. I think if Missouri wins, they win by at least 3. So I'm taking Missouri minus those points, but I would not be surprised at all to see Arkansas win that game. Florida at Tennessee, 3:30 on CBS. Florida a 17.5-point favorite. And Tennessee has been struggling. They lost that game to Auburn, which was their 5th, I think, straight loss of double digits. The first time in the history of the school that had ever happened. I think Florida rolls in this game. Give me Florida minus those 17.5. Vanderbilt at Georgia, 4 o'clock on the SEC network. Georgia a 35.5-point favorite. And man, Vanderbilt struggled last week. They've had a bunch of COVID issues. Georgia is looking a lot better, at least offensively, as an ability to put up points with JT Daniels in there. He's just a more dynamic player. This is a bunch of points, though. I would not bet this game just because that is so many points. I think Georgia covers, but I mean, I don't know. I think Georgia does end up covering this game. I can see them shutting Vanderbilt out, but 35.5 points is a bunch of points. But I'm taking Georgia minus those 35.5. South Carolina at Kentucky, 7:30 on the SEC network. Kentucky, an 11.5 point favorite. I've been high on Kentucky and have not been super impressed with South Carolina. I do think the 11.5 is a little bit too many points from a Kentucky team that has been struggling to score points. I think Kentucky is a better team. I think Kentucky gets the win. I think Kentucky probably wins by 10 points, though. So give me South Carolina plus those 11.5. Alabama at LSU, 8 o'clock on CBS. Alabama, a 29.5 point favorite. And that game is going to be a bloodbath. I think Alabama could have scored more points against Auburn, and they sort of took their foot off the gas and just sort of coaxed the end of that game out. I do not think they are going to do that against LSU. Alabama is mad about that game last year, losing that shootout, and then especially you've probably seen the behind the scenes stuff that went along with that. The post game speech from Ed Orgeron. I think Alabama comes out looking to embarrass LSU, and I think they do it. I think this is going to be a slaughter. I think Alabama easily covers those 30 points. Give me Alabama minus the 25.5, and I would take Alabama minus the 35.5 that Georgia has probably. But yeah, I think Alabama rolls in that game. All right, moving on to the Big 12. First up for the Big 12, we have Oklahoma State at TCU, 12 o'clock on ESPN2. Oklahoma State, a 2.5 point favorite. I think Oklahoma State is probably the better team. The spread is small. I'm going to take Oklahoma State minus the 2.5 there. Kansas at Texas Tech, 12 o'clock on Fox Sports 2. Texas Tech, a 27.5 point favorite. I have been picking teams to cover these large spreads against Kansas, and they keep doing it. Texas Tech is a team that can score points. Give me Texas Tech minus the 27.5. Texas at Kansas State, 12 o'clock on Fox. Texas, a 10-point favorite. This was kind of a tough one. I have not been impressed with Kansas State these past, since I guess the first couple of games of the season. I have not been impressed with them. They haven't been playing great, but Texas has been all over the place. I do think Texas gets the win here. I had a hard time picking this game. I'm going to take Texas minus the 10, but not confident in that pick. I can see Texas ending up scraping by here and getting like a 3-point win or something. Would really like this just under a touchdown. At 10 points, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with Texas. I'm probably going to regret that, but yeah, give me Texas minus the 10. West Virginia at Iowa State, 3:30 on ESPN. Iowa State, a 7-point favorite at Iowa State. West Virginia has played decent, but I do think Iowa State is the better team. The spread is only a touchdown. Give me Iowa State minus the 7 points. Last up for the Big 12, Baylor at Oklahoma, 8 o'clock on Fox. Oklahoma, a 22-point favorite. And Baylor has been playing close games. I do think Oklahoma definitely gets the win. I think Oklahoma is a pretty good team. They had their hiccups earlier on. I think they've got it fairly figured out. I do think the 22 points is just a tiny bit too much against a Baylor team that has played people close. Give me Baylor plus the 22. I can see Oklahoma winning by 21, 20. I think 22 is just a little bit too much. So yeah, I'm taking Baylor plus the points on that one. Moving on to the Pac-12. First up, we have Stanford at Washington. 4 o'clock on Fox. Washington, an 11.5 point favorite. Haven't been super impressed with either of these teams. Washington had that big comeback win against Utah where they were way down and ended up coming back. I'm going to take Stanford plus the points. Not impressed with either of these teams. I think 11.5 points is too many. I do think Washington gets the win here. I think they're the better team. I think the 11.5 is just a little bit too much. So yeah, give me Stanford plus those 11.5. Oregon at Cal, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Now Oregon coming off a very bad loss to Oregon State. Did not look great in that game. Their quarterback did not play great. But now I have very much tempered my expectations on Oregon. I think the Pac-12 is completely out of the playoff picture at this point. I think Oregon going undefeated was their one chance, and that did not happen. I have not been impressed with Cal so far this season, though. I'm going to take Oregon minus the 10. No longer completely sold on Oregon, though. Against a better team, I would have a bunch of trouble picking Oregon, but I think against Cal, they get it done. Colorado at Arizona, 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Colorado, a 7-point favorite. Again, I think Herman is doing a good job at Arizona. It's there. I think Colorado can win this game. They've been scoring points. But give me Arizona plus the 7 in this one. I just think Arizona can get a win, and I think they keep it close if they don't. Oregon State at Utah, 10:30 on ESPN. Utah, a 10.5 point favorite. Thought Oregon State played well last week. Thought Utah played well. Of course, they couldn't hold off Washington. Ended up giving up the game at the end there. I think 10.5 might be just a tiny bit too much. I'm going to take Oregon State plus those points and see if they can't keep some of that magic from the Oregon game. UCLA at Arizona State, 10:30 on Fox Sports 1. UCLA, not the favorite in this game. Kind of surprised by it. UCLA hasn't played great, but they haven't been terrible, and really have not been super impressed with Arizona State. Arizona State, a 3-point favorite. I'm going to take UCLA in that game. I think UCLA has looked better and better as the season has gone on. I think they get the win here. Give me UCLA plus the 3 points, though. And we have a Sunday game from the Pac-12. Washington State at USC. 7:30 on Sunday on Fox Sports 1. Didn't see a spread on this game. Don't know if I just checked it too early or they haven't come out with one yet. I think USC gets the win, though. I really don't know. I'm not super confident in that. I think that'll be a fairly close game because USC hasn't been blowing people away. They've played a lot of close games. But I do think they're a little bit better than Washington State. So yeah, give me USC to win, but didn't see a spread there. All right, that's it for all the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 games this week. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. If you want to see more of these, only a few more weeks left, but I'm going to keep doing picks, and I'll make picks for whatever postseason games we see. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see those, and I'll see you next time.